At the stage of pre-production, I use many different media technologies. I use software such as Bubbleless. Bubbleless is a simple brainstorming application which easily allows me to create colourful mind maps entirely from scratch to brainstorm, plan and organise my ideas, rather than writing it on paper and scanning it into the computer. For example, to present my ideas for local newspaper mastheads, article ideas and ancillary ideas for my A2 coursework. The advantage of using this application was that it was free, fast and easy to use. I could also save my work and come back to it later. When I had finished, I uploaded my brainstorm to my blog. However, the disadvantage of using this application was that I had to have the internet connection. When I had finished my mind map, I could save it and upload it to my blog. I use this application in both AS and A2, therefore my skills in using this application developed, although I found it easy to use from the beginning. Therefore, Bubbleless allowed me to present my understanding of conventions. Posterous. To present my work and planning, I use the blogging platform Posterous, which is an example of a Web 2.0 technology, O'Reilly 2004, which means it is interactive. Therefore, allowing audiences to post and edit content on the blogs, which links to the idea of two-way communication, because communication is no longer linear. I could upload my work and plans, such as flat plans for my local newspaper front cover. The advantage of using this was that I could email my work I wanted to upload onto my Posterous blog through my Hotmail account, and it was also free. I also use this blog to present my work in AS, therefore my previous experience made it easy to use. However, one disadvantage I found with the blog was its unreliability to work when you wanted it to, due to the internet at college. This meant that there were few days where I could not upload anything to my blog, or my blog had not updated itself yet. Therefore, digital technology in terms of software such as Posterous was not always available to me. Online chart tool and Unitarium.com. The online chart tool allowed me to present my qualitative audience feedback in the form of charts, which made my feedback easier and more interesting to look at when posted to my blog. The tool was simple and easy to use, and I could use any form of chart. For example, I chose pie charts. Unitarium.com allowed me to convert my font text to the right size. I would simply use a ruler to measure the text size of a newspaper in millimetres. I would then go to the website and type in the measurement, and it would convert the measurement into PT. This allowed me to follow the conventions of real newspapers. However, I needed internet access to do this. Cam Studio. I used Cam Studio to record my screen activity for my evaluation questions. The advantages were that the application is free and easy to use. I found no disadvantages with this application. Quark Express 7 and 8. During the production, I used Quark Express to create my newspaper, a desktop publishing program that allowed me to put text and pictures in boxes that could be edited at post-production on the page to be moved around. The advantage of using Quark was that I could follow the real conventions of print layout easily. For example, headers, columns in my local newspaper, and the anchorage of text with photographs. I first used Quark in my AS coursework, and I found it very confusing and fiddly to work. However, I discovered that the end product was always professional looking and realistic. I was able to use the skills I learnt in AS and transfer them into my local newspaper. For example, editing and creating text fonts to create meaning. A disadvantage I found with the software was that it took a really long time to load, therefore time was wasted. However, the advantage of using this program was that the outcome looked professional, so Quark allowed me to put together my knowledge of real conventions and produce a local newspaper. Adobe Photoshop Elements 5 is an image manipulation program. I use this software to create elements from scratch for my local newspaper front cover and page 2. For example, the weather map, the advertisements. I learned how to use text tools and text effects such as drop shadows to produce my masthead Chapeltown Observer to act as part of a mode of address. In Photoshop, I was able to use the layers to organise bits of work that I needed to produce one element. For example, a photo with a border and an anchored bar caption. I used the colour converters such as colour variations to aid my house style, which was red, black, yellow and white. House styles are a real convention in local newspapers, therefore Photoshop allowed me to apply this to my work. The advantage of using Photoshop was that it allowed me to stay in control and gave me more freedom over what I was creating. I first used Photoshop to create elements for my prelim task at AS, which was a front cover college magazine. For example, I learnt how to use other shape tools to create boxes. Therefore, by the time it came to producing my local newspaper, I already had previous experience with the program whilst producing my music magazine at AS. However, unlike in my music magazine, I had to create simpler elements for my local newspaper to follow the real conventions. For example, the house style for my music magazine is louder and brighter than the house style for my local newspaper because the target audience is different. I also use Photoshop to produce one of my A2 ancillary products, a poster. The program allowed me to import my photograph that I took myself and to encode and juxtapose text to give it meaning. For example, the photograph is the background of my poster, and it isn't till Photoshop allowed me to anchor the text Chapeltown Observer that to signify that the photograph was taken in Chapeltown. Therefore, Photoshop allowed me to stay in control and be creative in the construction of my work. H2 Handy Voice Recorder. I used a Zoom H2 Handy microphone to record my voice for my videos, such as my evaluation video. The advantage of using these was that they were very easy to use and I could easily upload them to my computer using a USB cable. I had never used a voice recorder before, but I found it very easy to use. Therefore, this digital technology allowed me to record myself talking about the conventions and how I applied them to my work. Camera. Before I took any professional photographs, I took the advantage of using my own camera as an opportunity to test and learn composition and framing skills in terms of shot types which I learnt in AS. For example, low shot connotes domination, i.e. the We Will Rock You photograph on my front cover, and a high angle shot connotes subordination. I used a Canon digital camera to take my photographs and a USB cable to upload them to the desktop computers. I then used software such as Photoshop to crop them to create meaning. For most of my photographs, I used the location as my background. For example, the stage for the local band performance, the park for the Chapeltown Park article, and the stage for my We Will Rock You article. Therefore, I used mise-en-scène such as location and costume to create meaning in my articles. The advantage of using my own camera was that I already knew how it worked, therefore I wasn't worried about getting something wrong. It also produced good quality photos which enhanced the professionalism of my product.